guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best heavy bowgun builds. Raw and all elemental meta. So this video analyzes the best heavy bowgun builds in the game. We'll cover raw and every elemental heavy bowgun as well, and some builds will have more than one option. First, we're going to start off with a quick analysis on recoil down levels. This data takes into account the most optimal recoil down and reload speed levels. So when mhn.quest tells you, hey, this is the best one, usually 9 times out of 10, it is the best combination. For the data, the best level of recoil down is level 1 for the Black Diablos heavy bowgun. If you slot in recoil down level 3, it will show the same result. So it shows the system takes this into account. So I know people are like, wait, hold on, but Mizutsune light bowgun only needs one recoil level. Well, here's the thing. If you deviate from this recoil down and reload speed data, you might actually be losing damage by a large margin. This is very prevalent with the light bowgun, and I have a gold light bowgun medal, and I've used it with a lot of different combinations and data in my videos, so it's pretty much the same when it comes to bowguns. As you see right here, you actually lose DPS if you go recoil down level 1 versus reload recoil down level 3. That's because you have slicing ammo with Mizutsune, and slicing ammo actually does better with recoil down 3 rather than recoil down 1. Next, we're going to move on to the builds, and before each and every element / monster type, etc., I'm going to do a build damage comparison. So for this one, we're going to compare the best raw heavy bowgun builds in the game. And you have the option of running either latent power or burst / weakness exploit builds for raw. Now the two that are worth building the most and you should probably go for are the Magnamalo and Black Diablos, because they're the two raw heavy bowguns that are the strongest, and as you see per this data, they're pretty dang good. And for raw heavy bowguns, starting with build number 1, we have Magnamalo burst / weakness exploit. This build uses burst level 2 and weakness exploit level 2, while reload speed and recoil down level 3 are maxed out. And this build has the top highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage assessment of 3,592. And Magnamalo uses spread ammo, so this build will have you up close and personal to deal maximum damage. I was very impressed by Magnamalo. I thought it was bad at first, but I was actually very wrong. However, again, it does have spread ammo, so if you don't want to be up close and personal, you can use something else. To use this build, you need the Magnamalo heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Pukei helmet at grade 8, Paolumu mail at grade 6, Rathian van braces at grade 6, Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos greaves at grade 6. Next, for the best raw heavy bowgun build at number 2, we have the Black Diablos with latent power level 2. This build uses burst level 2 and Wex level 2, with reload speed being maxed out at level 3, but recoil down is only needed at level 1. This build has the second highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,519. However, keep in mind latent power level 2 is a conditional skill and must be activated for this build's full potential. So latent power will only activate after 48 seconds and lowers every 100 motion values by 1 second. So if it never activates, you never get the bonus, you're not going to get this result. But if you've been using latent power, you know that already. But all that seconds that you spend where it doesn't activate for like casual hunts, etc., it really does add up. But if you use latent power and you want to use this build, you need the Black Diablos heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, Pukei helmet at grade 8, the Deviljho mail at grade 6, Rathian van braces at grade 6, Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos greaves at grade 6. And last, for the raw heavy bowgun builds, we have number 3, Black Diablos and burst level 3. And this build uses burst level 3 and Wex level 2, with reload speed being maxed out at level 3, however recoil down is only needed at level 1. And this build has the third highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,510. It's literally only 9 points of damage behind the latent power build and is more consistent. So if you want more consistency, go with this one because you don't need latent power to activate, and again, it's only 9 points of damage. To use this build, you need the Black Diablos heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Pukei helmet at grade 8, Magnamalo mail at grade 6, Rathian van braces at grade 6, Coral Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Zinogre Greaves at grade 6. And now we are done with Raw and we are moving on to Elemental Attack, starting off with Fire. And here's the build's damage comparison for those heavy bowguns. We're comparing the best Fire heavy bowgun builds in the game, and all of the top builds run Fire Attack level 5. That's because Fire is just super flexible, and Azarathlos Greaves does give you +1 to Fire Attack. Interesting enough though, the Bizarrios HBG is technically a Fire HBG, even though it holds Sleep and Poison ammo. So yeah, it's a Fire Elemental one, even though it has Sleep and Poison. So it's really, really weird, but again, it's technically a Fire heavy bowgun, so I'm putting it in this category. And here's the best Fire heavy bowgun build at number 1, the Teostra Fire Attack level 5. So this build maxed out Fire Attack at level 5 with reload speed and recoil down maxed out at level 3. This build has the top highest fire damage with a practical theoretical damage of 4,496. And Teostra heavy bowgun uses piercing, sticky, and cluster fire ammo to deal heavy damage. But keep in mind that Elder Dragon weapons are time consuming and expensive, so you're gonna spend a lot of it if you're trying to go after an Elder Dragon weapon. Anjanath heavy bowgun also shares this top build with a practical theoretical damage of 3,577, which is 20.44% less than Teostra. So it's a lot, but again, that's an Elder Dragon weapon, Anjanath isn't. So if you want to go after the budget option and you really like fire, go after Anjanath. And Anjanath heavy bowgun uses spread ammo and cluster bombs. So you two use this build. You need the Teostra heavy bowgun or the Anjanath heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it. The Anjanath helmet at grade 6, the Paolumu mail at grade 6, Anjanath fan braces at grade 6, Coral Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos Greaves at grade 6. And now that we are done with fire, we move on to water with the water heavy bowgun builds damage comparison, and we compare the best water heavy bowgun builds in the game. All of the top builds run water attack level 4, and the thing about it is, for the water heavy bowguns, the Coral Pukei heavy bowgun isn't as strong as Mizutsune, but it does carry poison ammo, so it does have the extra level of variety if you don't want to go after the Mizutsune heavy bowgun. And this brings us to the best water heavy bowgun build, number 1, the Mizutsune water attack level 4. And this build has a high level of water attack, again at level 4. Reload speed and recoil down level 3 are maxed out, and this build has the top highest water damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,910. The Mizutsune heavy bowgun uses piercing and slicing ammo, allowing you to deal heavy damage from range and sever tails. And the thing about it is, the Coral Pukei heavy bowgun also shares this top build, with a practical theoretical damage of 3,467, or 11.33% less damage than Mizutsune. But Coral Pukei heavy bowgun also carries poison ammo, so you have the added benefit of inflicting poison if you decide to go with Coral Pukei. To use this build, you need the Mizutsune heavy bowgun or the Coral Pukei heavy bowgun at grade 8 or grade 10, or as high as you can get it. The Mizutsune helmet at grade 6, the Paolumu mail at grade 6, Gyratotus fan braces at grade 6, the Coral Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos Greaves at grade 6. On to the next element, and we have Thunder, with the Thunder heavy bowgun builds damage comparison, and we compare the best Thunder heavy bowgun builds in the game, with all of the top builds either running Thunder attack at level 4 or at level 5. And the Tobikudachi heavy bowgun works best if you're looking for a budget option. Otherwise, if you're looking for the best of the best, go with Rajang or Zinogre. And this points us towards the best Thunder heavy bowgun builds, starting with the number 1, the Rajang Thunder attack level 4. So this build has a high level of Thunder attack, with reload speed and recoil down level 3 being maxed out. This build has the top highest Thunder damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,966. And the thing about the Rajang heavy bowgun, I actually forgot about this, so one of my commenters told me about this, and I really appreciate them because I totally forgot about it. Sticky and cluster ammo ignore crit, so its damage isn't affected by the negative 30% affinity. Rajang weapon types carry a negative 30% affinity. But in the main series games, Sticky and Cluster do not apply crit, and it's the same thing for Monster Hunter now. So you can go ham with this build. And if you want to, you need the Rajang Heavy Bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Sisiyaku Helmet at grade 6, Paolumu Mail at grade 6, Zinogre Van Braces at grade 6, Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos Greaves at grade 6. However, we aren't done with Thunder, with the best Thunder Heavy Bowgun number 2 being Zinogre Thunder Attack at level 5. So this build maxes out Thunder Attack, with reload speed being maxed out as well at level 3, however recoil down is only needed at level 1. This build has the second highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,705. With Zinogre using Spread and Wyvern Thunder ammo, so you'll be battling monsters up close. This thing actually shreds and it's been pretty freaking cool to see it do it. But if you want to do it at the maximum power, you need the Zinogre Heavy Bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Sisiyaku Helmet at grade 6, the Kezu Mail at grade 6, the Legiana Van Braces at grade 6, Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Zinogre Greaves at grade 6. And now that we're Thunder, we move on to Ice, with the Ice Heavy Bowgun builds damage comparison, comparing the best Ice Heavy Bowgun builds in the game. For the data, Kushala still has the highest Ice Heavy Bowgun damage. It's an Elder Dragon. Of course it will be. However, Legiana is still pretty close to it with a difference about 10% damage, which is 9.32% to be exact. And Legiana Heavy Bowgun does carry piercing and slicing ammo, so it's a great alternative if you do not want to go after the Kushala Heavy Bowgun. Now here's the thing, the reason why I'm mentioning Kushala versus Barith, even though it's the second best one right here, I mean barely, by like 60 plus points, you don't see Barith on the field. Because you don't, Legiana is the go-to budget option, and it's not that much of a difference between Barith and Legiana. So save yourself that extra effort, go after Legiana if you don't want to go after Kushala Daora. And this brings us to the best Ice Heavy Bowgun build at number 1, the Kushala Burst and Weakness Exploit build. This build uses Burst level 2 and Wex level 2 with reload speed and recoil down maxed out at level 3. And this build has the top highest ice damage with a practical theoretical damage of 4,282. The Kushala Heavy Bowgun uses piercing, sticky, and cluster ice ammo to deal heavy damage. But keep in mind that Elder Dragon weapons are time consuming and expensive, so if you're going to go after them, it's going to take a while. But if you want to go after this one, you need the Kushala Daora Heavy Bowgun at grade 8, or grade 10, or as high as you can get it, the Pukei Helmet at grade 6, the Rathian Van Braces at grade 6, the Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos Greaves at grade 6. But wait, there is one more ice build with the Ice Heavy Bowgun build number 2, the Legiana Frostwind level 2 build. And this build uses Kushala Frostwind at level 2 with reload speed and recoil down at level 3, and they are maxed out. This build has the second highest ice damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,817. The thing about Legiana is actually really interesting. It has a great ammo set with piercing and slicing ice ammo, same as Mizutsune, very interesting. And the thing about this build, you don't actually need the Kushala gear at grade 8, but you're gonna lose Weakness Exploit at level 1, which gives you that little extra push of damage. But if you want to use this build, you need the Legiana Heavy Bowgun at grade 8 or grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Kushala Daora Helmet at grade 8, the Paolumu Mail at grade 6, the Legiana Van Braces at grade 6, the Kushala Daora Coil at grade 8, and the Barith Greaves at grade 6. And finally, we have the final element of elemental attack, Dragon, with the best Dragon Heavy Bowgun build. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the only Dragon Heavy Bowgun in the game right now is the Deviljho Heavy Bowgun. Its spread ammo is affected by the negative 30% affinity, while the rest of it is not. And it has its own unique equipment skill with defensive reloading. But keep in mind, Deviljho Heavy Bowgun is hard to build due to the invasions mechanic. It's gonna take you a long time to build this thing, even if it's from scratch. It's been 2 weeks, so since the update's been out, etc. But unless you have a ton of hunters around you trying to share a bunch of Deviljho hunts, you're gonna be out of luck if you're trying to build this really quickly. So again, it might be worth it to just wait until another Dragon Heavy Bowgun comes along, unless you really want to build this one. But if you do want to go after Deviljho, here's the best Deviljho Heavy Bowgun build. Number 1, Deviljho Burst and Weakness Exploit. With this build using Burst level 2 and Weakness Exploit level 2, and reload speed and recoil down level 3 are maxed out. And this build has the top highest dragon damage with a practical theoretical damage of 3,517. An important thing to note is that Deviljho does carry spread ammo, wyvern driving ammo, and sticky ammo. So 2 of its ammo types ignore the minus 30%, but spread ammo does not. If you want to build this, you need the Deviljho heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Coral Pukei helmet at grade 8, the Paolumu mail at grade 6, Deviljho van braces at grade 6, Coral Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azaratlos greaves at grade 6. And now that we are done with elemental attack, we move on to elemental status, starting with poison. And here we have the poison heavy bowguns builds damage comparison, comparing the best heavy bowgun builds in the game with only 2 monster types. We have Rathian and Pukei. And all of the top builds run burst and weakness exploit, with both poison heavy bowguns having 5 shots of poison ammo. Up next, we have the best poison heavy bowgun build starting at number 1, Rathian burst / weakness exploit. And this build uses burst level 2 and Wex level 2, with reload speed and recoil down being maxed out. And this build has the highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 2,624. We're counting them as raw because of the fact that you use poison ammo in order to inflict poison. As Rathian heavy bowgun has to cycle through poison, spread, and cluster bomb, so it focuses more on the raw damage versus the poison. But if you want to use this build, you need the Rathian heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Coral Pukei helmet at grade 8, Paolumu mail at grade 6, Rathian van braces at grade 6, the Coral Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azaratlos greaves at grade 6. And for the next of the best heavy bowgun builds at number 2, you have Pukei burst / weakness exploit. And this build uses burst level 3 and weakness exploit at level 2, with reload speed maxed out at level 3, however, recoil down is only needed at level 1. And this build has the second highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 2,094. Way less than Rathian, but the thing about the Pukei heavy bowgun, it's interesting because it only cycles through 2 ammo sets, allowing you to quickly get to and fire poison ammo. So you're going to be able to cycle through Pierce quickly and fire a bunch of poison ammo, inflicting a ton of poison onto the monster. And if you want to use this build, you need the Pukei heavy bowgun at grade 10, grade 8, grade 10, or as high as you can get it, the Coral Pukei helmet at grade 8, the Magnamalo mill at grade 6, the Rathian van braces at grade 6, Coral Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Zinogre greaves at grade 6. But wait, we aren't done yet, because we also have the sleep heavy bowguns, and here we compare the best sleep heavy bowgun builds in the game. Per the data, Nightshade Paolumu has the highest damage. However, Radobon is still pretty close to it, with a difference of about 6.34 to 6.41% damage. So it's not that far apart at all. So if you want to build Radobon, that's fine, but you should probably go after Nightshade Paolumu, because Nightshade Paolumu is the best sleep monster type in the game so far. And this brings us to the best sleep heavy bowgun build, starting with number 1, Nightshade Paolumu, latent power level 2. So this build uses burst level 2 and Wex level 2, with reload speed being maxed out and recoil down only needed at level 1. This build has a top raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 2,697. However, again, keep in mind, latent power is a conditional skill and must be activated for this build's full potential. You don't get that activation, you don't get the full potential. And Radobon heavy bowgun also shares this top build, with a practical theoretical damage of 2,696. It's literally 1 point of damage, or 0.04%, less to be exact. But it's important to note that the Nightshade Paolumu heavy bowgun has to cycle through sleep, spread, and cluster bomb ammo. So it focuses more on raw damage versus inflicting sleep. And if you want to use this build, you need the Nightshade Paolumu heavy bowgun or the Radobon heavy bowgun at grade 8 or at grade 10 or as high as you can get it, the Coral Pukei helmet at grade 8, the Deviljho mail at grade 6, the Rathian van braces at grade 6, the Coral Pukei coil at grade 6, and the Azaratlos greaves at grade 6. And this brings us to the final sleep build, the sleep heavy bowgun build number 2, Nightshade Paolumu burst / Wex. And this build uses burst level 3 and Wex level 2, with reload speed being maxed out at level 3 and only needing 1 level of recoil down. And this build has the second highest raw damage with a practical theoretical damage of 2,526. With the Radobon Heavy Bowgun also sharing this top build with a practical theoretical damage of 2,524. It's literally 2 points less. And if you're wondering about Nightshade Paolumu, 6.41% less damage than the Nightshade Paolumu one. It's pretty dang close. And the Radobon Heavy Bowgun is interesting because it only cycles through 2 ammo sets, allowing you to quickly get to and fire sleep ammo. So if you're looking to inflict sleep, Radobon's probably the better one if you're looking for that. But if you want to use this build, you need the Nightshade Paolumu Heavy Bowgun at grade 8 or grade 10 or as high as you can get it, or the Radobon at the same. With Pukei Helmet at grade 8, Magnamalo Male at grade 6, Rathian Van Braces at grade 6, Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Zinogre Greaves at grade 6. Next up we have the final build, the defensive reloading build. I'm not a fan of it, but if you want to use it, this build uses defensive reloading at level 3. So reload speed and recoil down are also maxed out, however you can substitute the Pasarios Fan Braces for anything else if you are used to perfect guarding, and you don't need recoil down maxed out. So if you don't need it, substitute out, switch out for the Pasarios Fan Braces. And this build is only effective as a fun build unless you are used to perfect guarding with heavy bowgun and are using spread ammo. The thing about it is, as much as defensive reloading, as fun as it is, whatever or however you want to justify it, any action that requires you to wait for a monster to attack makes you lose DPS. And at the same time, you're going to have to reload anyways in some instances because the monster isn't going to attack you all the time or it's taking forever. Example, Black Diablos or Diablos. If one of those things tries to run away from you, guess what? It's not attacking you. So you're gonna have to reload instead of relying on defensive reloading. But if you want to have some fun, this build is for you, as you need the Actisom Helmet at grade 6, the Actisom Mail at grade 6, Pasarios Fan Braces at grade 6, or again you can switch this out forever you want, Pukei Coil at grade 6, and the Azarathlos Greaves at grade 6.
結構進みが早いな。思ったより早く終わるかな。いつものことだけど増えたり減ったりで当てにならん。
Honestly, that's how it feels whenever I load any of these build videos, because they take a long time. And hopefully this video helps you decide what heavy bowgun build to go after. Consider the amount of time and effort it will take to build your desired loadout. Unless you already have the materials for it, it's still going to be expensive, but if you aren't, make sure you consider like, hey, this is going to take a while, especially if you're considering Elder Dragon weapons like Teostra and Kushala Deora. And with that being said, please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Again, I won't put something on unless it has supporting data. So if some people have requested, hey, can we get heavy bowgun builds please? Well, I don't have the data yet. I don't want to give you something that's not going to be factually great or have supporting data, because I don't do the whole trust me bro thing. But this thing does take a while, so hopefully you can do well and you're doing great with the heavy bowgun, and this gives you guidance. Good luck on your grinds, and I will see y'all on the next video.